in earnest on September 12th. But once again, we don't have a roster to go over with you, and we're not going to have a roster to go over with you. Please do not ask me anymore about the roster. And I'm not covering up for anybody. I don't know the roster, and most people in the organization who have nothing to do with the actual hockey operations do not know what the roster is going to be. The internet, however, is a beautiful thing. The internet is a very beautiful thing. So if you really want to do some digging yourself, you can search the internet for a couple of hours, and you'll find out some of the players who are coming to the Buccaneers. And if you have been following me on Twitter at DM Bucs Radio, you would have gotten some sneak peeks as well. Also, if you've been following me on Twitter, and quite frankly, why aren't you, you'd be getting some updates on some reasons to be very prideful to be associated with the Buccaneers, and that is the Buccaneers' ties with USA Hockey. As we speak right now, the Buccaneers have 4 ties into USA Hockey going on right now. We'll begin with the Junior Evaluation Camp. The Junior Evaluation Camp going on in Lake Placid, New York. This is the camp in which the Under-20 World Junior Championship team is selected from. This is the team that plays in the World Juniors every year around the holidays, a tournament that's viewed in Canada with the same esteem as the NCAA basketball tournament is down in the States. It's a huge, huge deal in Canada, and amongst the hockey community in the U.S., it's growing by leaps and bounds. In fact, I got a chance to watch it when it was in Grand Forks a few years back, but they've got the Junior Evaluation Camp going on right now in Lake Placid. They're going to be picking the team. Dean Blaze, the Nebraska-Omaha head coach, long-time legendary head coach up at North Dakota, and, of course, had a brief stay with the Fargo Force as well. He is the head coach. Again, this is the most prestigious international tournament, arguably the most prestigious next to the Olympics, and the Buccaneers have Connor Brickley and T.J. Tynan, a pair of former Buccaneers who are competing in that. Both Brickley and Tynan survived the first round of cuts. About 3 days into the camp over the weekend, they cut the rosters down in half, and Tynan and Brickley both made it. T.J. Tynan, at the time of this recording, has been a scoring machine in the camp. Connor Brickley has not produced any points, but it's hard to go by. That doesn't necessarily guarantee that Tynan's playing well and Brickley isn't, or vice versa. It has no guarantees, but we know that Tynan has been pumping in the points right now, so that you would like to think that bodes well for him. And Connor Brickley is if you maybe got a chance to see that in some of our write-ups on the website, Connor Brickley has a lot of international experience, and he was on the preliminary roster last season. He actually made the team out of the camp, but did not make some of the final selections as they got closer to the actual tournament. Regardless, though, a couple of big-time Buccaneer alums trying to make their way onto a big-time international stage. Also going on this week, future Des Moines Buccaneer defenseman Michael Brodzinski is with the Under-17 team as they compete at the Five Nations tournament in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Brodzinski does not have any points, but again, that is misleading. He's a defenseman. That doesn't say anything. Sometimes defensemen, if they get a lot of points, they still play bad, and vice versa. So Michael Brodzinski right now with Team USA, the Under-17 team, at the Five Nations tournament there right now in Ann Arbor, Michigan. That tournament goes through the weekend. One of Brodzinski's coaches at the Five Nations tournament is a familiar name to you Buccaneer fans, and please do not hold this against me. I could not have picked Des Moines, Iowa out on a map 20 years ago when this guy played here. So I'm sorry if I do not pronounce his name right, but the assistant coach on that Under-17 team is Pat Miskich, a former Des Moines Buccaneer. Pat Miskich, former Des Moines Buccaneer, and assistant coach right now with the Under-17 team, in which Michael Brodzinski is playing for at the Five Nations tournament. And once again, for the latest information, the latest updates on all things Buccaneer related, please go to bucshockey.com, bucshockey.com. I'm not going to sit here in the live fans and say visit it every single day. We'd love you to. But if you visit it, fans, every other day, every 3 days, you're going to get something new on that website. And we try to keep that thing updated a lot of times throughout the course of the week. One thing many of you are probably going to be enjoying throughout the course of the next week or so is the State Fair going on down at the Iowa State Fairgrounds on the east side of Des Moines. Before we go any further, a person invited me out to the State Fair, and I snickered in their direction. You know what I'm talking about, fans, and I say this with love, but it's Christmas for the hillbillies when it comes to the State Fair. And it's not just Iowa. I'm not just ripping on Iowa. I could not stand the New York State Fair. I'm from Utica, New York. The fair took place in Syracuse every year, just a 45-minute drive away, and I dreaded. I mean dreaded like a kid dreads a swim test, like a kid dreads getting a penicillin shot or whatever. I dreaded going to the State Fair every single year. I can still smell the carny sweat. It's ingrained into my nostrils, the State Fair. You'd go to the exposition building where a guy with a funky microphone wrapped around his ear and down to his mouth would be trying to pitch you on a mop that could pick up everything from a whole spilled glass of orange juice to the entire casings of a down World War II plane. You've got guys selling magical markers, and then you go to another building, and they're talking about the growth of energy and blah, blah, blah. Some of it's very interesting, but it just always had a non-exciting feeling for myself when it came to going to the fair. And I know a lot of people talk about the food at fairs, and to me, the food's greasier than the area right around the fry-o-lator and any fast food area. So, in any case, I'm not all that excited about the fair myself. The fact that I work on the east side of Buccaneer Arena makes me feel like I'm already too close to the fair. But all that aside, I know a lot of people enjoy the fair. Again, my family is big fair goers. I'm just not into it myself. The Buccaneers did have a presence, though, at the State Fair Parade on Wednesday night. So we did want to pass along thanks to the Des Moines Buccaneers Booster Club, who took part in the Iowa State Parade on Wednesday. They took part in the Fair Parade in downtown Des Moines, heading off to the west from the state capitol. Great job done by all the Booster Club members throughout the course of the summer months. Remember, we talked about it earlier, but they were quite busy on the 4th of July, walking in the Urbandale and Windsor Heights parades. And then to do this on a weeknight, that's not necessarily easy, no matter what time of the year it is. To do it on a weeknight, take time out of their own schedules to come out and put on the parade, to put together a float and to gather up some people to walk in the parade to promote the Des Moines Buccaneers. A big tip of the cap to all of our Booster Club members. We continue on with Bucs Talk for this week. And remember, fans, coming up in just a second, we're going to have, for all of you out there, sampling of our montages. We got some new montages we're going to be showcasing to you. You'll see those in just a second. I did promise earlier in the show, pulling back the curtain a bit on some of the promotions you can be seeing this upcoming year at Des Moines Buccaneer games. If you've been following the Twitter account once again, you know that the best way I've been describing it is that we're not taking things away. So before fans worry that we're changing tradition or anything like that, we're not. We know where the bread is buttered. We're not changing that. But the best way of describing it is that we're adding on. That's what we want to do. We want to add on. Think back to when you were a young kid, okay? When you were a young kid. At first, when you'd go to McDonald's, you'd cry bloody murder if those little pickles were on a hamburger. You'd make your father get back in the car, drive back to McDonald's, and get you a burger without any pickles because the burger was tainted by the fact that those little pickles were on it. Now, fast forward ahead 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and you're the person that's putting on 4 scoops of relish, and on top of that, wants a dill pickle on the side. So what we're saying is we're adding on. Taste change, we're adding on, not necessarily taking away. And as we put on promotions, Fans, you'd love to be in a promotional meeting because when it comes to promotions and it comes to coming up with ideas, everybody's got 15 ideas. Out of those 15 ideas, you put them through the meat grinder, and usually one comes out. And many times we scrap an idea, then pull it out of the trash 2 days later upon second thought. Here are some of the things you fans can be looking forward to this season. We've talked about it earlier, but the fattening of America will continue. You're going to get a chance to win wings and fries, depending on how many goals the Buccaneers score in a game. And trust me, it's going to be a low number, so there's going to be a lot of wings and a lot of fries given away at Buccaneer games. New this year, after selected games, it's a family-friendly post-game party with the players at Sam and Louie's Pizzeria. It's in the Cobblestone Market, where they've got the movie theater and the Tasty Taco just up the road from the arena. Perfect to bring the families. We're going to have the players go there right after games. As soon as the game ends, they're going to get dressed, not past go, come zooming right out and drive on over to Sam and Louie's where you can meet them. We're going to have that after just a few games this season. Not after every game, but after a few, and we look forward to having a great partnership with Sam and Louie's. We're going to have a lot of coupons given away this season. You're gonna leave fans with a bucket full of coupons. We're talking about the State Fair, and I know many of you get the little baggie when you go around the exposition building and get all of the little samples. You're going to need a baggie when you come to a Buccaneer game because you're going to get a lot of coupons this season. So those are just a small sampling. We are going to have the beer nights back, but I think fans are going to like some of the changes to the beer nights that we're going to have this year. So those are back. No, those are very popular. Obviously, the post-game skates will be back. No reason to ever get rid of the post-game skates. We are going to have those as well. And there's still things being decided upon, still things that are being put together. We'll have a full release of the promotional schedule coming up in early September, so fans can look forward to that. A couple big announcements, including some highlight promotions coming up in a few weeks as well. We're going to have some racing going on at Buccaneer Arena, and you're going to be excited to hear this. One last thing, just because it's gratuitous and because of the fact that I do this show, do want to give a baby Montesano update. Young Derek Rocco Montesano, now 3 weeks old. I'm sleeping fantastically. A lot of people ask, how you sleeping? Fantastic. Mrs. Scott Montesano, well, she decided to breastfeed, and I physically cannot breastfeed. No matter how much I may ask the good Lord above us, I cannot physically breastfeed. So my wife is the one who has to get up all the time to feed the baby. Quite thankful of her decision when it's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and she's getting up. In fact, the last few days, I've not even been getting up in the middle of the night. Those two get up, they go downstairs, they do their feeding, and Scott's off in dreamland, dreaming about all the funny things that he could do. Great, though, having the baby, well-behaved young lad. Actually brought him by the office earlier this week, and members of the Buccaneers staff got a chance to see Derek Rocco Montesano, and he'll be at some games throughout the course of the season, so feel free to come on over and say hello and meet the young lad. He does not look anything like me. He looks like his wife. Well, not like his wife. If he's got a wife, we got issues. He doesn't look anything like me. Looks a lot like the missus. Many people saying that's a good thing. I don't know. Regardless, though, we continue on. Again, Bucs Talk for this week wrapping up. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Only have a couple more editions left. Then we get into the season. And then, of course, we get to Bucs Talk Live once again. That'll be kicking off once the season gets going, back on the radio and all of that coming up in about a month or so. But as I promised earlier, we've got 2 montages we've done. Anyone with a computer and a few hours to kill with a mom or a wife who will keep a never-ending supply of caffeine coming into the room can make a montage. Remember the stress you all had making montages in college, if that was a part of your college curriculum. Well, the technology's gone so basic now that every home computer's got this stuff. What we'll use these montages for, I have no idea. Just thought they'd be fun time killers. So, again, fans, we'll be back in a couple weeks. Remember to check buckshockey.com. Yeah, that should do it for us here. Fans, is a great, big, beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. Make sure to take advantage of it. Montage is coming up next. Until next time, everybody, so long.